Alright, so first things first, AEW Rampage. And we all knew this was coming, right? It was just a matter of not if, but when. Turn the brightness up a little bit there. I turned it down way too much. But we had heard the rumblings and we heard the news, right, of AEW Rampage coming to an end and coming to a halt, and we have got that confirmation. I am going to debating on I'm not going to share it. Yeah, that's nothing really to share. I'll share it. What the hey? But we have official confirmation, and this is from Fightful.com, so shout out to them. But this is one of the pages that just blinded me, guys. Oh, I gotta change my display. But yeah, AEW Rampage is officially coming to an end, guys. There I am. Officially coming to an end. As we see right here. Reported by Jeremy Lambert, reported by a lot of people. But this came out of the tapings that were held this week during the December. They say that, to be fair, they started off by saying this is no longer Rampage, baby. So kudos to them. But during the December 22nd AEW Dynamite tapings, Tony Khan confirmed that AEW would be taping the last episode of AEW Rampage, quote, for the foreseeable future. The episode will air on December 27th. So RIP to AEW Rampage. It's, I don't want to say date of death, but it's final, assuming, well, he says for the foreseeable future. I don't know why they would end up bringing it back. I think they would just debut a different show. So I think this is just his polite way of saying this is the death. This is the end of Rampage. So officially December 27th of 2024. And this was reported by a couple people, I guess, because Fightful included the tweets. So shout out to @Kimmy_Sokol. I think it's the Viking thing, right? SOKOL. And @Milano_Mob with like 4 B's. Tony Khan confirms this is the last Rampage for the foreseeable future. Kimmy said pretty much the same thing. And then we have, so the official dates for Rampage. AEW debuted on August 13th of 2021, and the date of death, we'll just call it that, call it what it is, December 27th, 2024. So a little over 3 years. RIP. It debuted on, again, August 13th, 2021, and was the second AEW program to be featured on TNT. The first show featured Christian Cage defeating Kenny Omega to win the TNA/Impact Championship, which is just bonkers, right? Just thinking of how much things have changed. CM Punk's return to wrestling took place on August 20th, or on the August 20th episode, rather, of AEW Rampage. It will go down as the highest rated episode in the show's history. No surprise there. Drawing 1.126 million viewers. The show aired weekly at 10 p.m. Eastern, but would be preempted by NBA, or by the NBA, NHL, and March Madness. And I was at, of course, the debut, or the return, rather, of, well, technically the debut of Punk in AEW, and the return of good old Punkster to the world of wrestling. And man, that's probably my top moment in something that I've experienced live. It was just the feeling, y'all, and just the atmosphere is just unforgettable. Yeah, and it was just, I remember like searching the tickets and seeing it was like reasonable, and I was like, oh, like just the feeling of being there, and I don't know, like it was just one of those things, man, like one of those cool moments in history that you get to say that you were a part of. And very thankful because it brought him back into wrestling. So as much as people want to shit on AEW and laugh at AEW and talk crap or whatever, they have to be credited, in my opinion, for bringing Punk back. Yes, he did have his foot in the door with WWE doing that backstage thing, but technically he was employed through Fox at that point. So look, eventually I think they probably would have worked something out if once Vince was out of the picture, right? But I think it would have been much more difficult. to get Punk, to convince Punk to have him come back. And I think AEW really facilitated that and really helped give that love to Punk back and to make him realize like the world that he once was in, right? And what he was missing and that it wasn't as bad as it used to be. And I think it just really made the transition into WWE much easier. And of course, Vince being out, even though it's for like heinous reasons, right? That definitely helped things as well. So again, see what we want about AEW, right? But they definitely helped that. So shout out to AEW for bringing my guy back in. So props to them. But yeah, wanted to definitely touch on that because AEW, um, AEW Rampage rather, will be no more after next week. And I think what was it? AEW Shockwave is what they had trademarked and what they were reportedly going to be debuting TV show wise. I just hope they don't. I hope that they just focus on Collision and Dynamite, of course, and make those shows important, like we were talking about earlier, and just focusing on the content in those shows. And there's no in not focusing on the need of being like a different company or just because you can do something doesn't mean you need to do it, right? Like if you can have a third show, yeah, cool. But like, is it hurting what you're doing overall, or is it adding to that and benefiting it? And I just don't think Rampage was. I think it was yes, it gave wrestlers, and that's what I was thinking about earlier. Because like I was watching a clip, for instance, with Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander, and that was on AEW Rampage. Now, if Rampage wasn't a thing, they wouldn't have the opportunity to do that. But at the same token, too, if Rampage wasn't a thing, that ideally could have been on Dynamite, and that could have given at least a foundation of why all of a sudden, for instance, Chris Statlander is turning or is a good guy again, and how she's even talking to Willow, right? Because of what they went through, the street fight and all that good stuff. So I just think that focusing less or having to focus less on the quantity of your products lets you focus on the quality of it. And that's what I'm most looking forward to going forward. So we'll see. We'll see. I really hope that they don't, because it would be kind of stupid too, in my opinion. Like, what's the point of getting rid of Rampage and then adding a new show, for instance, Shockwave, if that's what the name of it's going to be, and that's what it was, and like, why? Like, that's just kind of ludicrous to me. Like, just because, like, me as a fan, like, am I supposed to? Like, oh, okay. Like I didn't watch Rampage because it was every Friday night at 10 p.m. But now that Shockwave is on at Friday nights at 10 p.m. Now I'm going to make it a point. Now I'm going to change my work schedule to be home to watch Shockwave. No, like I didn't make it a point to watch Rampage. Just to be blunt, I didn't make it a point to watch Rampage, and I wouldn't make it a point to watch Shockwave unless something crazy happened. For instance, like or not even crazy, but like if it was like an anomaly show, like for instance Collision. To be fair, I don't watch every episode of Collision either. If something like a good match is advertised or something that sparks my interest, I'll make it a point to kind of go back and watch that. But I don't watch every episode of Collision, and I think that that's what AEW needs to focus on, and not just getting rid of Rampage and possibly replacing it with a third show down the line. I think that'd be dumb. They'd be completely blunt, that'd be dumb as fuck. So I hope they don't do that, because like it's why you should have just kept Rampage then, because at least you have the history with that. I don't know. To me, it's just it'd be like starting fresh just because you can, and when you destroyed something that you could have possibly just rebuilt. And I don't know. It just gotta be dumb, in my opinion. Now I understand, like if something had baggage, but I don't know. Like to me, Rampage. The only baggage that Rampage had was the placement of it, and the but the placement first of all, and then just the lack of importance in the shows. Like the matches that were scheduled for the shows, you already knew who was going to win. So why go out there and spend your time and invest your time in watching it when you know who are going to win, like the lower end of the totem pole matches? And I hate to say that because there's no disrespect, right? And again, like it was a good opportunity for more wrestlers to have more TV time and to get more reps and things like that. But and it's just kind of like a step up from AEW Dark. Like I didn't hate it, and I'm not sitting here talking shit on it. And if not for nothing, like I appreciate the thought behind it, right? And again, the platform that it gave, but it almost did more harm than good because the wrestlers that you're showcasing on there, they don't feel important. Like Johnny was talking about earlier, like you have to have importance in the show, and that if the company doesn't make you feel like it's important and showing recaps and really emphasizing what happened on Rampage, on Dynamite, and on Collision, then why would I make it a point to go back and watch it myself? You know, so that's just kind of where I come from, but or come out with my thoughts on that.